And welcome back. DQ'd back here. Pete here with Tim and Tom, and we're going to be discussing Undertaker: The Last Ride Part 1. Guys, what'd you think?
Tom, well, first, I just want to welcome you back. It's great to have you back on the show. You know, you took a little hiatus from us. You went on a little camping trip. Maybe you just went on a road trip. Maybe you didn't want to be around us on that reaction episode because you came in second and you didn't want to be part of it. It's fine. It's whatever. But good to have you back. Nice to see you again. My reaction to The Undertaker, it's just so cool seeing him in a different element. For so many years growing up, you saw Undertaker as one guy. It was The Undertaker. And it was on TV or it was in person, but you never got to know Mark Calloway. And I feel like right now we're getting to know Mark Calloway. Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, well, thank you for the special reintroduction. Besides my absence of last call, which was entirely my fault, I will totally apologize to the viewers. You just don't know the other side of the story about what Pete and Tim said to me, so let's just keep it there. They pretty much kicked me off and then had to re-bring me back, but we won't get into that. I think that this is going to be such a phenomenal, literal, awesome documentary on The Undertaker. This is what we've always wanted to see, even when we were literally young and not knowing who Mark Calloway even was. We were just looking at The Undertaker. You know what I mean? It's like, holy crap, we get to see behind the scenes that you always had an idea, and now we're getting to experience it.
Yeah, so we could start right there with Tom. You put a nice intro there. This is the first time cameras have followed him outside of the ring. And he was never one to be talking on the mic, in the news, this or that, the other thing. He's always been this mysterious, dead man walking type of character. And now we are getting to really see who he is. So do you guys want to touch up on that a little bit more?
Tom,
yeah. Something really interesting to me is I know there's a scene that we'll pull up where after John Cena's first match, and people are like, after he presses Kurt Angle, he goes crazy, which is very humorous, by the way, to see John Cena act like that. And then he goes backstage, and he's all hyped up, and then bang, you see The Undertaker, and you hear the crowd's reaction, because back then it pops up on the jumbo screen and the crowd goes crazy. And at that moment is kind of when I started getting a little more serious into this. You get to see the Undertaker has so much control and so much I'm not gonna say possession, but he's the man. He is the literal face, and it's so clear how much he holds it down.
I mean, that's perfectly put. I mean, he had guys like Big Show, all the guys from Big Show to Triple H to any veterans at the time, to any rookies like John Cena, and you could just tell he's a leader. He was the backstage leader for men and women, mostly men, and he didn't use his position. I mean, if Undertaker wanted to abuse his position, he could have been Hulk Hogan 2.0 of what WCW had of Hulk Hogan. The man was the only guy to really stick by Vince McMahon when they were losing ratings war. He stood there the whole time. He never complained. He never batted an eye. He did everything he was told. And, I mean, it led to him being the locker room guy. And it led to him being, I've heard stories of him being a wrestling court judge. When there was issues, he solved the issues. Guys didn't complain. It was, okay, what does Taker say? And Taker says this, and you listened. And if you didn't listen, there was an issue. And you would have to deal with Undertaker.
Someone got out of control. He put you in your place. He was literally the captain of the entire brand. And the best part, sorry, before we hand it to Pete, the best part also is that he was never coming out to the crowd and being all cocky and being vocal about it. When he talked, it was you could hear a pin drop, and it was so little. And then that's how you knew stage was set. You saw the lights go off, and all of a sudden you needed a hero to beat up a heel, because some faces getting beat up, lights go off. Lights come back on, Taker's in the ring, place erupts, and that's it. That's the captain you need.
Yeah, and going back, you just touched upon, you hear a pin drop when he opens his mouth. When he enters the ring, the crowd erupts. And that's the same thing would happen backstage. He would come up to you after a fight and say, maybe instead of doing your technique like this, you could do that. And other wrestlers looked at him and praised him and didn't question anything, and they listened to him. And that's you saying, he's just a great leader, didn't abuse his powers, nothing like that. He's just a great face for the WWE for many years.
I mean, exactly. And I know HBK, DX, Triple H, Austin, The Rock, they get the credit for beating WCW. They get the credit for putting WWE over the top. Taker should get all the credit. Taker was there before it started. He stayed with them the whole time. He didn't go shoot movies. He didn't go do any bull crap. And his injuries were very, very not appearing at the time. And then after they all left, he still stayed. He still worked a full schedule. He still led WWE to the promised land. He doesn't get enough credit for that. Mount Rushmore, he's on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
He never gave it up. But then that talked about late into his career, that full schedule wasn't working anymore for him. We all saw injuries nonstop. He just had injuries to the point where he was only working one match or 3 matches a year, 2 matches. And now we're at the point in the documentary we'll get to where, he's only working 1 match a year. And if you want to guys start to talk about that, we'll go right into the one that we all saw, the Brock Lesnar one, the biggest one of them all.
Yeah. Definitely piggybacking off of you. When you do it for so long, you can only perform at such a high level. And when he first started, he wrestled a specific way. He performed a specific way, and he maintained that the whole year. I mean, his whole career, excuse me. He wasn't any type of high flyer, obviously. He was almost like a mixture of a pound for pound and then just like just a body. He wasn't going to lift you up and throw you into the crowd, but he'll put you on your shoulders when he needs to and like drive you like a last ride. But obviously, I mean, finding out he got a concussion during the Brock Lesnar match and blacked out for literally, I don't remember what he said. Tim, correct me. I want to say like he doesn't remember 75% of the fight.
I don't think he didn't remember anything. He didn't remember anything until 3 p.m. I think it was 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. that day. He said was the last memory he had, and then he couldn't remember it. And Michelle McCool came out and said he didn't know his name in the doctor's office.
Yeah, that and to still perform is just, I don't even know, like there's no words. Like you could literally say like, oh, like that's the Undertaker, but like to actually do that is almost like jaw dropping,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just goes to show that WWE is a real life sport and real injuries happen. Like we saw all the injections and all the preparation he needed just to fight in that one WrestleMania match he does a year, or the 3 that he had to do, and it's taking a toll on his body, and I'm sure it all is to all the wrestlers out there.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that was great, no one will ever know if Brock Lesnar was supposed to win that match or not. That's always going to be the confusion. Everyone thinks he wasn't, but he was in his prime, wrestling prime, so maybe he was, and they were just building him up again. But the greatest thing I thought was Vince McMahon was in the hospital. Brock Lesnar was in the hospital with Taker. I mean, you don't hear that all the time.
While the pay-per-view is still in session.
And with the biggest pay-per-view of the year still in session, and Vince McMahon's there. They beat him to the hospital. Brock Lesnar, of all people who everyone hates that doesn't get enough credit, he could be a pain in the ass, but was there. I think that's great, and that's because of Taker and who he was to those guys. Again, he saved Vince's ass, and Lesnar, he probably brought along Lesnar. He helped Lesnar get used to the business and to really take over the advantage of that he had in the business.
Even to hear that, like to watch that and hear that, like Lesnar would, like we know like him and Vince were close, but to hear that Lesnar was one of the first people at the hospital, it's like, oh my gosh, what Lesnar have I been watching this whole time? Like I didn't even know I had a heart. And it just show like that's how much of an impact he has on people we even perceive to be awful.
And then that led into, one. Then now he's just working one WrestleMania a year where he's wrestling, surgery, rehab, and he's back to training. And you can't, that's just as tough as working a full schedule because of ring rust, because of all they said. You got to get your strength back, ring rust, not knowing where you got to get a ring feel. You have someone else's life in your hand. So he continues doing this. He loses his confidence before the Bray Wyatt match, and Triple H talks to him, and you just tell he's not the same Taker. He hasn't been the same Taker, and that shows it shows the most in the Roman Reigns match. We'll jump right into the ugliest match I think I've ever seen him fight.
Yeah, and even the episode kind of comes to a conclusion with him watching the film back of that match, and he's almost in disgust, and he's like, I can't go out like this. This is like, so it just leads to his thrive to perfection, and it just goes to show that he's not ending it like that.
No.
Yeah, guys, that match was rough, and it's even more rough for people who saw him pretty much at his peak of both the Dead Man and also American's Badass. I guess I'm just gonna say it. It's hard because you think he's going to perform no matter how old he gets, no matter like how long he's been gone. Whenever you see Same kind of thing. I hate to go into it, but same thing. It was almost is with Triple H and Shawn Michaels. It's like we think because of how well they were their entire career that they're still going to perform to their peak even at their age, and that's probably the hardest part. But yeah, the match was rough, and obviously he was definitely in disgust. But I'm not sure. Once again, Tim or Pete, correct me if I'm wrong. Was it after that match where he asked Vince McMahon like, are you happy? And he was like, yeah, and like they hugged it out. I don't remember what match it was, and that's all he cared about, which just goes to show the person you think is a mute for his entire career, all he wants to do is like just please. He wants to help out.
I mean, he's on a pedestal and he still cares about what the boss thinks, which it should tell you how humble he is. And other guys think they deserve everything, and he's humble, just make sure Vince is happy. But yeah, I mean, I remember watching the reverse tombstone and Roman dropping him because Taker just, again, you could tell. And I think he hinted that he didn't really prepare for that Roman Reigns match, And I think we're going to find out in the next episode, he's going to say, I let down Roman Reigns. That was his shining moment and I fucked up. I let myself down, I let my family down. And I think we're going to find it out in the next episode and the surgery. You saw the white bone that they're drilling into. Some, graphic stuff we're going to see. But it's a shame he didn't get to live, get that much going. But, now he's taking 2 years off and supposedly he's coming back again, AJ Styles and all that stuff. But before that, just the Roman Reigns fight was a disaster, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm glad to see a different view of that and what happens afterwards, and that'll be kind of, I guess, where episode 2 will start out.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be him on the couch with, the beautiful Michelle McCool sitting there rewatching the fight and him just going, what the hell was I doing? He looked drunk out there. He looked like Seth Rollins on Monday night. He looked wasted.
All right, guys. Well, once again, give us a like, subscribe, please, down below. Comment what part was your favorite. Tell us something we missed, what you liked, who you agree with, who you don't agree with. Interact. Thank you for coming, and DQ'd.